Welcome to The Healing Voice, Healthy Living with Newman Regional Health.
We're your hosts, Casey Hastings
and Saylor Middleton.
Each episode, we sit down with medical providers from right here in Emporia, Kansas, to explore practical tips and insights that help you live a healthier, more informed life.
But first, let's hear from the leader of Newman Regional Health herself, our CEO, Kathy Pimple.
Navigating all the health information out there can feel overwhelming. As someone who cares deeply about this community, I want you to have a trusted local source you can count on. This podcast brings you direct access to the experts who care for you and your families every day.
Thanks for joining us. Let's get started. We are so excited today for our special guest, Dr. Michael Lloyd. He has been a part of Newman Regional Health Medical Partners since 2017, an interventional cardiologist here. Will you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio. It's an old steel town on the northeast corner of Ohio. And my mom and dad always taught me to do my best, and they put a large emphasis on education. As a little boy growing up in the 60s and living down the street from a fire station, the first thing I wanted to be was a fireman.
Oh.
And then in the late 60s, obviously, when we're going to the moon, I wanted to be an astronaut. But then I decided I wanted to be a doctor. The two men closest to me, my dad and my grandfather, suffered from heart disease and eventually died from heart attacks. So that made me think about medicine as a career. When I went to medical school, I decided I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Really?
Yeah, the pediatrician.
Wow.
And then I rotated through pediatric oncology, and I said, this is not for me. So cardiology started to appeal to me. It came easy to me. I fell in love with it. And like they say, if you do something you love for your job, you'll never work a day in your life. In that regard, I'm blessed.
What do you do outside of being a cardiologist?
I like to hike a lot, travel and hike, hunt and fish. Those are always the big ones as well. We travel a lot.
Where do you hunt?
Mostly here, Olpe, Medicine Lodge, those are main areas.
Okay. Deer?
Yeah, deer, anything with horns or feathers, I hunt it.
Horns and feathers. Got it.
And you attend a lot of events, though. You're really involved as well. You're always at Denim and Diamonds. You're always
Denim and Diamonds.
Yeah, big.
Yes.
Going to be supporting the zoo here in a few weeks.
Good. Yeah. That's always a great event.
That's a great event.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Well, Dr. Lloyd, we just wanted to start off by asking you, what led you to pursue interventional cardiology?
When I went through training, it was all rolled into one. They really didn't have an extra year for the interventional fellowship, so I just naturally was born into that. And as time went on, with more technological advances, it just became something I just, once again, just fell in love with, and just like, this is a great job to have, and it's always changing and something new. A little bit challenging, but not challenging. But it's just good to have that intellectual stimulation and growth.
I am curious, is there a difference between interventional cardiologists and cardiologists? I mean, what makes interventional cardiologists more specified or a little bit different than maybe original cardiologists?
Yeah, so a general cardiologist, they'll see office patients, read echocardiograms, nuclear stress tests. The interventional cardiologist will do all of those as well. When they take the patient into the cath lab, they can do the cath, number one, but then there's a blockage that needs treated. They can treat that with a balloon or a stent or other specialized equipment.
So more hands-on.
Right.
We had the pleasure, both Saylor and I, to watch you do a procedure. That was incredibly inspiring.
To see the teamwork was just wonderful. Abby did such a great job of just making that patient feel so at ease. And hearing your guys' collaboration sitting next to Gus, it was very moving. Your teamwork was 100% shown through that. It almost was just like you weren't even skipping a beat. You guys knew exactly what you were doing.
We do work together well as a team. Communication is the key, and we do that very well.
You could tell. There's almost like a cadence or a system to it. You're giving instruction, and then they're following and giving you feedback. It's really neat. I was inspired.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, what motivates your work here at Newman Regional Health?
First of all, this is where I met my wife, Patsy, my lovely
Okay.
wife, Patsy. So that's a great reason.
Absolutely.
Of course.
The folks we just talked about, my staff in the cath lab, my clinic office, are just excellent people, great team. Communication is fantastic. Good place to work. Administration here is fantastic. Kathy, Esther, Stephen. It's all about quality. Quality is job one, and the patient comes first. We're always looking to continuously improve, and we measure things and move forward. As you mentioned, when I was hired in 2017, things needed to get better, and changes were made, and the data shows dramatic improvement since that time. Since I've been here, I'm very grateful that we attained the ACC cath lab with interventions accreditation twice now, so that'll be for a total of 6 years. We're working on our accreditation for heart failure as well. We're the only critical access hospital in the United States that has that certification. It's just beautiful to see that the administration is willing to bring cutting-edge technology here to Newman and Emporia.
I had the blessing and opportunity to pop in at the end of your reaccreditation a couple months ago, and being able to see just the upbeat energy in the room. The whole room was packed. I just came in at the end to just take a couple notes of hearing just a couple marketing points to be able to kind of recap what you guys experienced. And the emotions in the room, it was a very emotional time. And then watching you guys, that whole room just rallies behind you, Dr. Lloyd, and you're such a great leader. So being able to sit there and watch, it was an emotional day. Yeah, very exciting. You could feel it in the room for sure.
It was a very exciting time for us.
What makes it emotional? Curious.
Sure.
Why is that an emotional
So I think
experience?
everybody's pulling together toward a common goal. So the Super Bowl was just yesterday. We're training for that Super Bowl. That's accreditation. And we put in months of work, just like your pro ball players.
That's your Super Bowl.
It's our Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And when we win it, when we get that accreditation, it's jubilation.
Yeah. Wow.
We should have had confetti.
Hey, you had like party and cake after. You guys had a
This is
great
true.
celebration. You had a good
He was
celebration.
hoping to have the Gatorade bucket.
Yes. Why didn't we have the Gatorade?
Now that's a great idea
Shoot.
for next
Yes,
year.
I'm writing this down right now. Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Well, yeah, Dr. Lloyd, kind of coming off of that, if you had an opportunity to speak to the community, what would you want every patient in our community to understand about their heart health?
Heart disease starts earlier than you think. When our fine young man came back from Vietnam, and they did autopsies on him for those that were fallen, they found out that they had fatty streaks in their aorta and in their coronary arteries. So at the age of 19, that's when that begins. It's never
Wow.
too early to check in with your PCP and know your numbers.
Okay, so you're saying know your numbers. Can you explain the difference between LDL, HDL, and triglycerides? Definitely to a layperson, I don't know
Sure,
what that means.
sure.
And then what number should people aim for?
Okay. All right. So cholesterol, it's a waxy, fatty-like substance that's made in the liver. 75% is made in the liver. 25% comes from the food that we eat. When we calculate your total cholesterol, we'll use something called the Friedrichsen equation. It takes your triglycerides and divides those by 5. And you take that number and add your HDL and your LDL, and that gives you your total cholesterol. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The HDL is commonly referred to as the good cholesterol, and it removes excess LDL cholesterol from the tissues and arteries and takes it back to the liver for excretion or recycling. Cholesterol is used in building cell membranes and myelin nerve sheaths that surround our nerves, and it possesses an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant property. Now for the bad. The LDL is commonly referred to as the bad cholesterol, and it transports cholesterol from the liver to the cells throughout the body for essential functions like cell repair and hormone production. But excess LDL can deposit in artery walls, forming plaques. Lipoprotein little a. 20% of the population has this lipoprotein little a. It's like a PCR and it's stuck to a tennis ball. And it's very common in folks that are from have African or East Asian ancestry. It's a small 23 amino acid chain that is prothrombotic, so it makes your blood clot more easily. Pro-inflammatory, and here's the ugly part, is 6 times more atherogenic, builds plaques 6 times greater than the LDL cholesterol. Levels are 90% determined by genetics, and they're usually established and set by age 5 and remain fairly constant over your life.
Wow.
That young.
That young.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when we see, I feel like I read it a lot, your
Very
family
true, it is.
history.
Before we leave the cholesterol, total cholesterol, we shoot for a number less than 200. The HDL, the good cholesterol, greater than 40, females greater than 50 or 60. Above 60 is considered low risk. LDL, we like it less than 100. But if you have coronary artery disease, diabetes, or chronic kidney disease, we usually like that below 70. For repeat offenders, we like it below 55. And then triglycerides, less than 150.
Okay. And those are all numbers like when I'm going and getting my labs. I'm going to see my patient portal.
Right.
Okay.
And my primary care physician would go over
Order
those
those.
with me, catch it, and then tell me what next steps would be
Right.
if I needed to see a cardiologist.
Or start you on the statin medicine.
Okay. Interesting.
And obviously diet and exercise as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I know I've got this family history of heart disease and I have that information stored away, is it just like during my annual physical, I need to make sure that I'm bringing that up to my primary care physician?
Yeah, so they recommend first assessing cholesterol in children right around the age of 9 to 11.
Really?
And then again around 17 to 21.
Wow.
And then probably around age 35, 40 for folks that are high risk if the family has a history of heart disease or if the patient has high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, smokes, physical inactivity. If you have those high risk factors, then check it earlier, like that 35 to 40 range. But most folks, that 50 and then obviously 65 and up probably annually. They recommend them in that younger ages every 5 years.
Okay.
Interesting. So just to kind of help my brain, the cholesterol, when they do my blood work, if I'm just doing regular labs, it won't pull my cholesterol. They have to specifically test for that.
Right, they have to specifically order a lipid panel.
So if I was going in for my yearly physical and they do my blood panel, it wouldn't
Right.
pull up unless the
Right.
physician requested.
Yeah, that typically just checks blood salts, kidney function.
Kind of going off of that good, bad, and ugly, Dr. Lloyd, what are some everyday lifestyle changes that could mean lowering someone's heart disease risk?
Sure. So when it comes to decreasing risk, if it's not measured, you can't fix it. So you need to get into your family doctor's office, your PCP, and know your numbers. You need to know your blood pressure, your weight, your body mass index, which is your height-weight ratio, your blood sugar, your hemoglobin A1C, and then those cholesterol numbers we just talked about. The American Heart Association recommends 30 minutes of moderate physical activity a day for 5 days a week, about 150 minutes a week. Obviously, if you're smoking, stopping smoking. One cigarette takes 20 minutes off of your life, and one pack about 7 hours.
Wow.
Another thing that the American Heart Association emphasizes is getting good sleep. So you're going to shoot for 8 hours a night, no phone or other electronic devices about an hour before bedtime, and then just establish good sleep habits. Go to bed at the same time, quiet room, noise-canceling headphones if you need them, eye mask, whatever you need.
Well, maybe that's why I'm struggling to sleep.
Put the phone down.
I mean, a lot of people probably.
Oh.
Yeah. Even they try
Right
to
till the hour, right till the minute you're going to bed.
Oh, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or fall asleep with it in your hand. Yeah.
I've never done that.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. Right.
A lot.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, this kind of plays off of that question, and just curious because I've heard a lot about this, but how does stress physically impact heart health?
So first we'll say that stress actually increases your cortisol level. That's your fight or flight hormone. So that raises your blood pressure, your heart rate, your blood sugar, and it also creates insulin resistance, so the insulin can't get the sugar into the cells for fuel. Acute stress can cause angina or chest pain and lead to high blood pressure, coronary artery vasoconstriction, so the artery clamps down on itself. And when you're trying to exert yourself or in some form of stress, your heart needs more blood, oxygen, and that impairs that. Multiple reports support the fact that severe acute psychological stress can precipitate heart muscle dysfunction, heart attack, arrhythmia, and cardiac death.
Wow.
And chronic psychological stress has been associated with an increased risk of heart muscle pump dysfunction, something we call a cardiomyopathy. And the fancy name for this is called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. The easier way to remember it is broken heart syndrome. The other name it goes by is apical ballooning syndrome. So when there's a neat little study out of Ohio State, UC Davis, and Wake Forest that said chronic psychological stress and psychosocial stress can lead to the development and progression of heart disease. They looked at this in animals and showed that stress actually activates protein. And I'm going to have to read this here. NLRP3. It's a powerful amplifier of inflammation, and that starts the whole process off. And currently in cardiology, inflammation is an area of great study, and probably one of the next major breakthroughs is going to come in the area of treating inflammation for coronary artery disease.
So, Dr. Lloyd, you talked about the role that sleep plays, the importance of sleep in your heart health. So would you say that the role of emotional health plays a pretty vital role in
Yes,
heart
yep.
health?
Sure does.
Are there strategies that you have for resolving some of that stress on the heart?
Go for a walk, get some fresh air. Daylight's great. Activity is life, motion is life, life is motion. So get out and walk, be active, walk on a treadmill, Put in some earbuds or headphones and listen to some comforting music. Close your eyes when you're doing that. Find ways to create a safe place for yourself.
Yeah. I just feel like there's so many stressors in everyday life that, it's kind of hard to slow down and remember some of those easy things like go for a walk.
So just kind of jumping into your comment, you talked about a study that you've read. We're going to jump to just talking about there's a lot of articles and products out there that are claiming to improve heart health. It's confusing at times for those of us that don't know what we're looking for. Are there some common myths that you'd like to debunk a little bit? Or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So a study done by the Cleveland Clinic back in 2023 compared statin medicine, rosuvastatin, to all those dietary over-the-counter products, red rice yeast, fish oil, plant sterols, garlic, turmeric, and cinnamon. And when it was all said and done, statins lowered the LDL, the bad cholesterol, by 38%. The other guys, no better than placebo. No better than placebo.
Wow.
And actually, a few of them raised it. Garlic, turmeric, and cinnamon all raised it. The worst was garlic by 8%. Increase in LDL cholesterol.
Wow.
Yep.
But we're told it helps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some of them do. I think the one that was red rice yeast lowers the LDL about 4%, but not as close to the statin. If you want to take an addition to, sure, but in place of, no. And then the FDA wrote a warning letter in November of 22 to these companies that manufacture these products saying heart disease is the number one killer in the U.S., and it's unlawful to make these unfounded claims about these treatments when they're no better than placebo.
Wow. And what was the outcome of that?
They're still selling them.
Well, I was going to say, I still see them. Yeah.
So diets. Another study was published, I think it was in the New England Journal, compared several of the diets out there, Atkins, carnivore, and Mediterranean. The Mediterranean diet came out the best for weight loss and heart health. So it's lean protein, so fish and chicken, and lean beef. Portion sizes on those are only 4 ounces, so about the size of a deck of cards.
Okay.
That's, smaller than we think.
Right.
Not the big American
Yeah.
Not the big plate. Yeah.
Yeah. But then peas, beans, nuts, legumes, all that kind of stuff. Olive oil is the primary oil. A little bit of red wine at dinner. Nothing wrong with that.
So Mediterranean diet, get more sleep, and try to find ways to de-stress.
Yeah, de-stress.
Yes. Well, Dr. Lloyd, what advanced cardiac services are available right here in Emporia that patients in our community may not even know about?
Yeah, so recently we added several new services to our cardiology line. One of them is intravascular ultrasound. So that uses a 20 megahertz sound wave and bounces it off the tissues, similar to radar. And then we get a visual black and white picture of the inside of the artery. Similar to that is something called optical coherence tomography, which uses near infrared light. It's very high resolution, 10 times higher than the IVUS I just talked about. And it actually lets us look more specifically at the layers in the artery wall and the plaque characteristics. Third thing we have here that's new, relatively new, is the shockwave intravascular lithotripsy balloon. It looks like a balloon with some wire wrapped around it. And then we fill the balloon with saline instead of contrast. And then we hook it up to an electrical emitter, and that sends pulses into the water, which expands that balloon almost like it's taking a breath. That breaks up the hardened calcium deposits in the plaques that are in the artery wall.
So how would that happen?
We would determine that at the time of catheterization just by seeing the artery, or when we do the imaging, we'll see the artery at that time.
Is it a follow-up procedure, or do you
we
do
do
it
that
right
all
then?
at the same time.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you make that decision almost
Immediately.
Yeah,
Right.
once you find it, if you do.
Right. Coming out shortly, we're rolling this out for Heart Month, coronary microvascular dysfunction testing. So we're familiar with the arteries that lie on top of the heart and supply it with blood. But those little microscopic tiny hair, like even smaller than a hair, that go into the muscle and supply it with blood, sometimes don't function properly. So there's a kind of 4 stages that we test. First, we'll look for a myocardial bridge in case the artery has tunneled into the muscle and come back out again. So every time the heart beats, the artery is getting compressed. And then we'll look for spasm and then just general coronary vasomotor dysfunction. And then we'll finally check that microvasculature with a coronary flow reserve test.
And that also happens during a catheterization?
Right, the same time we're doing the initial procedure.
I'm curious about the pathways to having a catheterization done. If somebody comes
Right,
to the
emergency
room.
folks that have failed stress tests, folks that have classic symptoms and they're high American College of Cardiology, American Heart Association 10-year risk score for heart disease, stroke, and vascular disease. Those folks make their way into the cath lab.
And we do stress tests. We offer stress tests here as well. Dr. Lloyd, for our listeners who help participate in Denim and Diamonds, you described the testing and what we're capable of doing in the cath lab. Did any of that come about from this recent Denim and Diamonds fundraising?
Yeah.
Were we able to provide that through that fundraising?
Yeah. Our most recent Denim and Diamonds fundraiser on August 25, that money went directly to the new cath lab. That cath lab was over $1 million to purchase. And Denim and Diamonds contributed almost $250,000 to that fund. So it was a beautiful thing to see. People really came out and supported us that night.
And the excitement in the room, I think everybody got on board with that mission.
And having a rallied team behind it really showed through to the community. And you guys do a great job of demonstrating that, but then also seeing that come to life has been so great.
Yeah.
It sure is.
So we've talked a lot about what is available here in Emporia, but how does interventional cardiology available locally change the outcomes for patients?
If we look at the data from kansashealthmatters.org and we look at the death rate due to heart attack in Lyon County, in 2017, that was 60 patients per 100,000 over the age of 35. And we've brought that down since that time. We're at 38.5%, one of the lowest in the state, one of the lowest in the country. And consistently since that time, we've been below the state average. We're probably in the top 10 or 12 counties in Kansas for heart disease treatment. We're better than the average bear.
I'm going to just point out that correlation that you started here in 2017. So there's a lot of thanks. I just want to share that we also have
Dr. Farron.
She's recently
completed her interventional cardiology fellowship and has returned to full-time practice. Need
So
to
excited to
give
have
her
her.
a call. Get
Yeah.
to make an appointment.
She's interested in women's heart health too. And,
Yes.
And then we also have a nurse practitioner.
Lindo, local gentleman from Olpe,
Yeah.
he's amazingly good.
Yeah. And then again, we've mentioned them, but just a lot of nursing staff around you. surrounding
Right,
you.
yeah. But there's a lot of excellent people, not behind the scenes, in the scenes. They create all of this, and everybody supports one another. Really works well here. Everybody's on the same page, rowing in the same direction every day. And it's always patient-first mentality, and it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Well, Dr. Lloyd, if someone is listening today and they're worried about their heart health, what is the very first step that you would recommend they take?
It's never too late to have a checkup. Make an appointment with your PCP for an annual wellness visit and know your numbers, your blood pressure, glucose, blood sugar, hemoglobin A1C, cholesterol, and body mass index.
Okay. What do you want our community to remember as we close out this Heart Month?
I'll give you 6 takeaway points. Basically, this comes from me and the American Heart Association. 1, eat the rainbow. You want your plate to have colorful food, so you want to have greens, yellows, reds, oranges, fruits, vegetables, high up on the list. 2, eat less and move more. 30 minutes a day, 150 minutes a week. Life is motion, and motion is life. The more active you are, the longer you're going to be around. Number 4, know your numbers. Get good sleep. Don't let age define you. Define how you age. So take care of yourself. And remember, the true poetry of life gets revealed to us every day, so make time for yourself.
Wow. It's like a mic drop.
That's it.
We
Yeah.
just want to thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, thank you. We're just going to close things out. So thanks for joining us for this episode of The Healing Voice. We hope today's conversation offered helpful insight as you work toward better health.
If you heard something you'd like to learn more about, we encourage you to reach out to your primary care provider. They're your best partner in making informed decisions about your well-being.
Be sure to tune in next time as we continue sharing trusted guidance from the experts who care for our community.
Together, we're committed to helping you achieve your healthy goals.